Hey, Shalom, Israel. Thank you all for tuning in again. We got another Wednesday night history class coming straight out of the Bible. We appreciate everybody who's been tuning in and giving that constant support. We ask that you please continue to like, share, and subscribe to our channels. On Facebook and YouTube, we can be found at True Nation Israelite Congregation. I am tonight's teacher, Brother YASHAMI. To my left, all praise be to the Most High. And y'all know how we do. I definitely love these history lessons. And I feel like it's only right, given the season that we in. It's so important that we pay attention to what's going on in this world. It's like everything kind of goes through its season. You have periods where life seems to be cool, and then it gets real chaotic, right? And it's funny because it always happens around the time that our feast days are happening, right? So we're coming into the season of the Maccabees, right? We're approaching the winter season, and that means that we'll be celebrating the Feast of Dedication, right? Where we rededicated our temple to the Most High, and that's what we do on a spiritual level now. We rededicate our temples to the Most High through righteousness, through keeping His commandments, through obedience to the law, right? And the Most High is definitely pleased with that. So we're actually going to start touching on that history, right, to see what the whole Maccabean Empire was about, right? The Maccabean Revolt, because that's where the feast day comes from. And it's also called Hanukkah. If you're not familiar with the Feast of the Dedication, I'm sure you've heard of Hanukkah. So like I said, that's what we'll be touching on tonight. And with that, I say that we jump right in. Let's go over to First Maccabees, and let's start at chapter 1. So we're talking about from Mattathias to Judas. Who was Mattathias and who was Judas? Well, we will find out. Let's get into it, y'all.
First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 1. And it happened after that Alexander, son of Philip, the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Shittim, had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes.
So we're dealing with the time period of approximately 333 BC, right? The 3rd century BC. So understanding that, right, it says, and it happened. It's because these things were already prophesied, right? You could read it in the book of Daniel, where, Greece was about to come into power, and the people leading Greece, right? The Edomite Empire, the Edomite people, the children of Esau is who we are dealing with when we are reading, mainly when we're reading the book of the Maccabees, because there were other nations that were involved, but these were the chief people, right? So go ahead.
That he reigned in his stead, the first over Greece, and made many wars.
So one thing everybody knows, and who this is talking about, is Alexander the Great, or Alexander the Greek, right? Everybody's learned about him in history, and the Bible talks about him as well because he played a key part in our people's history with our time when we're dwelling in the land of Greece. It says that during his reign, he made many wars. Now, for anybody who learned anything about Alexander the Great, he's revered for being one of the, world's best, military commanders, seeing how he had all these victories in battle at such a young age, right? But read.
And won many strongholds.
And that was one of the strongholds that he won when he killed Darius, king of Persia. Read.
And slew the kings of the earth. And went through to the ends of the earth and took spoils of many nations.
Right, because when you look at how vast this man's empire was, I mean, literally, you're dealing from the land of Greece, going all the way east into Arabia, going south into Africa, Egypt. Like, this man's complete, dominion was crazy. And like I said, he achieved this at such a young age. But we all know that was due to the power of the Most High. Prophecy had to be fulfilled. But read.
Insomuch that the earth was quiet before him, whereupon he was exalted and his heart was lifted up.
Now watch this. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 28, because I want to get some foundation scriptures just to get you to understand, again, who we're dealing with and why he was able to go on this conquest and be successful. We're dealing with the children of Esau, right? And it says that he had went through to the ends of the earth and took spoils of many nations, insomuch that the earth was quiet before him. Meaning, when he went on this military campaign, right, when he was gathering all these lands and destroying all these kings, it said all of that was going on wasn't in comparison to all of the previous wars that had happened. It said, man, from all the noise and ruckus that this dude was doing, man, everything before, it seemed like the earth was quiet. It lets you know how vicious and how fierce he was in battle, right? But let's watch this. Deuteronomy chapter 28, and let's read verse 49.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 49. The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far.
So look, this was part of the curses, right? Deuteronomy chapter 28, verses 15 through 68 outlines the curses that the Most High would put upon his chosen people, us, the Israelites, so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. And this was one of the curses. Read it again.
The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far.
He said the Most High was going to bring a different nation. We got to understand this. He was going to bring a different people who didn't look like you and I, from far, from the ends of the earth. Read.
From the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle fleeth.
It said, as swift as the eagle flieth. Now, when you go into history, right, and you start to look at some of these empires that were ruled by the children of Esau, what's the bird of America? It's the bald eagle, right? You can go into Greece, right, on their coins and things that they use. You can see that they reverence that eagle, right? Even in places in Russia. But read on.
A nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand.
Uh-huh.
And a nation of fierce countenance.
A nation of fierce countenance. Because you always got to ask, like, man, what happened? Black people, we the strongest people on the face of this earth. How did we go into slavery? Because the Most High said, man, I'm about to send y'all a serious punishment. The Most High uses white people as his belt on the children of Israel. That's how he punishes us. He said, look, this nation is fierce, and what they coming with ain't nobody ever did. Ain't nobody in the history of mankind dealt with the children of Israel like so-called white people, because that's who the people of Esau are today, so-called white man. The reason why we say so-called is because he's not really white. Paper, right, is white, but you look at Esau and he's red, and so much that they call them rednecks, right? But read on.
Which shall not regard the person of the old, nor show favor to the young.
And that's something that y'all should actually look up in history, because every year around Black History Month, they always want to talk about Martin Luther King. And we know that he had a push to integrate our people with our oppressor. The Most High said that shouldn't be so. And you could look at the history and how they dealt with our people throughout slavery. It said he wouldn't show favor to the old man. It didn't matter how old you were working in them fields, right? So-called black and Latino man. When we had that Edomite oppressor, he would work us to death, getting whipped, hung, all of that. Lynchings, right? And even showing favor to the young. They didn't care about our babies. You can see pictures of 4- and 5-year-old kids out there in the fields picking cotton. And that's the ones that they let live, because they used to feed our babies to alligators. That's a fact. Y'all can look it up. They used to use us as test experiments, right? Not so many years ago, the Tuskegee experiments were going on, where they was giving our people syphilis, trying to figure out different ways to cure us from it, right? But they the ones giving it to us to begin with. So when the Most High said he's going to send a fierce nation upon us, you got to understand what was going on. This is who we're dealing with. But go ahead.
Which shall not regard the person of the old, nor show favor to the young.
So let's go back to the book of 1 Maccabees. Actually, you know what? Go to Genesis, just so we can further get the point. Let's go to Genesis to show you who it is we're actually dealing with. Genesis chapter 25. Let's start at verse 21.
Genesis chapter 25, verse 21.
Uh-huh.
And Isaac entreated the Lord for his wife, because she was barren, and the Lord was entreated of him, and Rebekah his wife conceived.
So we're dealing with our forefather, right? Our foremother was having a hard time conceiving child, so our forefather prayed, and the Most High blessed her with it. But read.
And the children struggled together within her, and she said, if it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of the Lord.
So during her pregnancy, she was having an irregular pregnancy. Like, it was a whole lot going on within her stomach. The 2 kids was in there, you know, not still, right? Said they wrestled with one another. Read.
And the Lord said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb.
And so the Most High had to give her some understanding, because she was like, man, if you really wanted me to be pregnant and bring my head, right, my husband, some children, why is it thus? Why am I going through all of this? He said, because you got 2 different nations of people within your stomach. This is the birth of so-called black, Latino, and Native American people, right? Because we're all the same people. And the birth of so-called white people. Read.
And 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels.
So the Lord told her, he said, look, you have 2 nations within your womb. two manners of people, meaning these nations, these two kids that was going to come out, they was going to have two completely different mannerisms. Look at how so-called black people act, so-called Latino people act, and then look at how white people act. It's a complete different manner of people, right? But read.
And the one people shall be stronger than the other people.
Uh-huh.
And the elder shall serve the younger.
So that was the prophecy. He said the elder child, right, is going to serve the younger. Read.
And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb.
Uh-huh.
And the first came out red all over like a hairy garment.
So here's the thing. The scripture said when this child came out, the first one, the oldest, it said this one came out red all over. And sometimes babies do come out red, but this has to tell you that this was something different, right? Came out red all over like a hairy garment, right? Go ahead.
And they call his name Esau.
And that was Esau, wasted away. And that's why he was so red, because white people don't have a whole lot of melanin within their skin. That's why they pale. You can see their veins easily running through their skin, right? They blush. You can see the blood showing forth because they lack melanin. Their skin is literally wasted away, and it's also a prophecy of what's going to happen to that entire nation of people, because it's prophesied in the book of Obadiah that their whole nation is going to be wasted away forever. But read.
And after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob.
So Esau came out first, and you see there was a lot of emphasis to talk about what he looked like when he came out. But you don't see a whole lot of emphasis on Jacob when he came out. That's because Jacob came out looking regular. There was nothing different about the way this child looked when he came out. But read.
And Isaac was 80 years old when she bare them. And the boys grew.
So now we dealing with some time. Some time then went by. These boys had an opportunity to grow up. Don't say exactly how old they are, but at this point, it's fair to say they've grown into a little bit of their manhood, because it's clear to see what type of mannerisms they have as different people. Read.
And Esau was a cunning hunter.
So the first manner, the mannerism of Esau, it said he was a cunning hunter. Today, who is going out there being known for hunting? And I'm not even talking about just big game or little game. We're talking about the feds. Look how cunning they are when they hunt for people. They using fingerprints. They using DNA samples. They using hair, skin samples, picking up shell casings. And that is a cunning hunter. He is going to find you high or low, right? Wherever you are, that's Esau. He going to find you. But read.
A man of the field.
And he was the man of the field. He liked to be out and about in the world. The same thing you see today. There's nothing wrong with going camping, but man, look how much of a lifestyle that's preferred amongst so-called white people. Living in the good outdoors and, right? Go ahead.
And Jacob was a plain man dwelling in tents.
Now it said as far as Jacob goes, he was a plain man dwelling in tents. You look at most so-called blacks and Latinos, we just want to chill. That's what our forefather Jacob was about, he relaxing. So that goes to show the different mannerisms of people that we're dealing with. And just keep in mind, these are the same two people that we're dealing with when we're reading the book of Maccabees. But time had went by, and the nation has started to flourish on both sides. So let's go back to the book of Maccabees and pick up where we left off, verse 4. And the book of Maccabees is a good book. It's two books to it, first and second. This is where we get 3 of our feast days from, right? We get the celebration of memorial, our brother Simon. We also got the feast of dedication, and we also got the destruction of Nicanor, one of Israel's great enemies. A lot of good things out of this book. And the thing is, it's not fairy tale, it's not make-believe. These are things that you can actually go and look up for yourself within history to see that, oh, it really happened. You're reading the history of our people. Well, go ahead.
First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 4. And he gathered a mighty strong host and ruled over countries and nations and kings, who became tributaries unto him. And after these things he fell sick and perceived that he should die.
So everybody knows this as well. Alexander didn't get to reign. His reign didn't last too long. He didn't get to rule over his kingdom that long. It said after he won all those battles and killed all those kings, acquired all that land and territory, he died shortly after. Read. And because he was into homosexual activities, right? Go ahead.
Wherefore he caught his servants, such as were honorable, and had been brought up with him from his youth, and parted his kingdom among them while he was yet alive.
And this is something that also you can look up, dealing with some of his most prized generals, his friends that he grew up with, right? We're dealing with 4 of them mainly. Ptolemy, right? And his kingdom reigned as far as Egypt to Ethiopia. We got Seleucid, he was over Babylon. We got Cassander, he was over Macedonia. And then we got Lysinicus over Asia Minor. But read on.
So Alexander reigned 12 years, and then he died. And his servants bare rule every one in his place. And after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after them many years, and evils were multiplied in the earth.
Man, because it said at that point, after Alexander had died and his homies started to rule their kingdoms the way they saw fit, they had kids and their kids had kids, because we dealing with like hundreds of years, not hundreds of years, but at least 100 years by the time we get to the Maccabees, just to understand what happened. It said, look, at that point in time, evils were multiplied within the earth because everybody started to get greedy, right? It was a whole lot of sabotage going on, people killing friends just to acquire these spots within the Senate and things of that nature. It was ridiculous. But this is the nation people that we dealing with, so-called white people. But read on.
And there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, son of Antiochus the king, who had been in hostage at Rome, and he reigned in the 137th year of the kingdom of the Greeks.
So we dealing with this man Epiphanes, right, son of Antiochus, and that name means God manifested or power manifested, right? Go ahead.
In those days went there out of Israel wicked men, who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us, for since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow.
And this was a problem that we was coming across, because there was a lot of wars going on between the 4 empires that were set up. They were warring against each other, and Israel, unfortunately, was caught in a crossfire. So it was generally the rule, once you was to conquer this place, they would become tributaries unto, you know, the king. You would have to be sending in, whether it was quarterly or yearly, you would have to send in stuff to show like, okay, you know, we're under your power. Israel, we started to not do that. We wasn't with that. We was off to the side doing our own thing, because what they had going on had nothing to do with us, but that wasn't good enough for some of them. They said, nah, you under this empire, you gonna pay. And they started to, you know, really push the issue on our people, sending forth people to come into our towns. They were destroying our cities, oppressing our people, all because we had a backbone and stood up and decided, no, we're not going to do as the other nations have done. But unfortunately, some of our people started to fall weak. And that's what we read here, where it says, you know, certain Israelites, and they were wicked people. The Bible is letting you know, if you're the Israelite that has this type of mind state, you're wicked. It says that since we've departed from these heathens, we've had nothing but trouble. Since when is that ever supposed to be coming out of an Israelite's mouth, when the Most High God is our power? But read on.
So this device pleased them well. Then certain of the people were so froward herein that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinances of the heathen.
Look at that. Some of our people were so wicked, we even went around and got licenses to be able to be like, you know what, I'm licensed. I can do this. Whatever that sin would be. Read.
Whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem, according to the customs of the heathen.
And according to the customs of the heathens, those gymnasiums, right? Because that's what we're dealing with, a place of exercise in the gym. They'd be in there butt naked wrestling, taking spas, having showers together. Wickedness. This is what's going on in God's holy land. Go to Amos chapter 5, verse 15. So you can see it was a lot of wickedness going in and around our people. Amos 5 and 15. Here. I think it might be on the previous page. Is that it?
Amos chapter 5, verse 15, hate the evil and love the good.
You see that the Most High commanded us to hate the evil and to love the good. We shouldn't be loving evil and hating the good, but that's what a lot of our people do today. You know, as soon as you start to talk to them about the Bible and what's commanded of Most High, they don't want to hear that. They want to talk about what pleases them. That's all I needed from there. Let's go back to 1 Maccabees and pick up verse 15.
1 Maccabees chapter 1 and verse 15, and made themselves uncircumcised and forsook the holy covenant and joined themselves to the heathen and were sold to do mischief.
So this is what happened to our people. It said we went so far left into our wickedness. It says that we made ourselves uncircumcised. It's a normal thing. It's actually commanded for Israelite men, so-called Black, Latino, Native American men. We are supposed to be circumcised. Brothers, you know, we got to get that taken care of, especially if you keeping the feast of Passover. It's commanded. You technically not even in the covenant if you're not circumcised, technically. But the Most High said, look, it's a commandment that we should be circumcised. Our people made it a thing to not do it anymore. All because we wanted to be like the heathens. We wanted the success that the heathens had. Real quick, go to Ephesians chapter 2, verse 11. Watch this, because this explains our current situation. Dealing with Israelites here in America, dealing with Israelites, in the Philippines, wherever Israelites are, waking up, keeping these commandments. This applies to us. Go ahead.
Ephesians chapter 2 and verse 11, wherefore remember that ye being in time past Gentiles in the flesh.
You see that? In times past, we were Gentiles in the flesh, meaning the lifestyles that we were living, the things we were occupied in was everything concerning the ways of the Gentiles, also known as the way of the heathens. Because before being Israelites here in L.A., we was calling ourselves Black, African American, right? We was Gentiles in the flesh because it was already understood who we were, right? Read.
Who are called uncircumcision by that which is called the circumcision in the flesh made by hands.
Yep, so if we had brothers in Israel today, they'll be sitting there calling us uncircumcised, right? Oh, them heathens. Look at how they living. They ain't keeping the laws. They wasn't brought up getting circumcised on the 8th day, keeping the holy feast of the Most High, celebrating these feast days and keeping the commandments. But read.
That at that time ye were without Christ.
At that time, we was without Christ. Go ahead.
Being aliens from the commonwealth of Israel.
Because, man, we was aliens. It sounded strange, and it still sounds strange to a lot of our people. Just opening up the Bible and reading it to our people. This is our commonwealth. This is something we all have in common, is this Bible right here, and it's still strange to a lot of our people. Read.
And strangers from the covenants of promise, having no hope.
Because without YASHAMI, Christ, dying and shedding his blood, we literally had no hope of salvation. The Most High, all of us was going to go to the lake of fire forever. Read.
And without God in the world. But now in Christ Jesus, ye who sometimes were far off.
Because sometimes we was afar off. Our minds was the furthest thing away from the Bible. But he said now through the blood of YASHAMI and the Most High giving us his spirit of understanding, what?
Are made nigh by the blood of Christ.
But now we're made nigh. We've come close. That's why we're reading about our history, getting ready to celebrate the victory of our forefathers that we had over our enemies. All praise. Let's go back to 1 Maccabees. And keep going. Pick up at verse 16.
1 Maccabees chapter 1, verse 16. Now when the kingdom was established before Antiochus, he thought to reign over Egypt, that he might have the dominion of 2 realms.
2 realms. You see that the 2 realms was fighting. They was going back and forth, but go ahead.
Wherefore he entered into Egypt with a great multitude, with chariots and elephants and horsemen and a great navy, and made war against Ptolemy, king of Egypt. But Ptolemy was afraid of him and fled, and many were wounded to death. Thus they got the strong cities in the land of Egypt, and he took the spoils thereof.
And this is the thing. Before they got to Egypt, they had to come through Israel. Right? So that's when we was caught in between 2 things. But go ahead.
And after that, Antiochus had smitten Egypt, he returned again in the 143rd year and went up against Israel and Jerusalem with a great multitude.
So now it's our turn. Go ahead.
And entered proudly into the sanctuary and took away the golden altar and the candlestick of light and all the vessels thereof, and the table of the showbread and the pouring vessels and the vials and the censers of gold and the veil and the crowns and the golden ornaments that were before the temple, all which he pulled off.
Man, they literally went into our temple. This is one of the most holy things that we had as a nation of people. Went into it and straight started stealing. They started taking the paint off the walls. Like, they was taking everything, just being super disrespectful. But our people, we was in a place of sin because we had already started to do the things that the rest of these nations was doing. The Most High, he takes our power away as a people. That's why white people was able to gather us into slavery, because the Most High took away our might. It's the same thing you see today. Example, brother step on your shoes, you ready to fight him, you ready damn near to shoot him in the head, take his life. But when you got police out here killing you, now you want to march, talking about hands up, don't shoot. It's the same thing. The Most High took away your courage. He took away our courage as a nation of people to fight our real enemies, but we'll gladly fight one another. But read.
Verse 23, he took also the silver and the gold and the precious vessels. Also he took the hidden treasures which he found. And when he had taken all away, he went into his own land, having made a great massacre and spoken very proudly. Yep. Therefore, there was a great mourning in Israel in every place where they were.
So they was not only was it good enough that they was stealing all of the holy ornaments and holy things out of our temple, but they left with a great slaughter. They literally was in the streets killing our people. And it said there was great mourning within our nation for that, right? Go ahead.
So that the princes and elders mourned, the virgins and young men were made feeble, and the beauty of women was changed. Every bridegroom took up lamentation, and she that sat in the marriage chamber was in heaviness. The land also was moved for the inhabitants thereof, and all the house of Jacob was covered with confusion. And after 2 years fully expired.
And this is the thing we got to understand when we reading this. It's so easy to get caught up in the black and white that you're reading, but you're forgetting that there's time that's going by. Days are happening, weeks are happening, months are happening, years are happening with all this travail and all of this affliction that's happening to our people. No different from today. 400 plus years, our people have been oppressed here in America. And for all of that, all we want is some Jordans and some nice clothes, and we feel okay. You give niggas a little bit of lean to sip, and you know what? Life is okay. Niggas rolling up blunts. They got the backwoods popping. Some don't do backwoods. They only smoke papers. But either way, life is okay with them. This is why we do these lessons. This is why the Most High has brothers laboring in the word, have brothers giving their time teaching these lessons to inform our people. Because, like I said, some people get offended when we start to talk about our reality. Ain't that crazy? You talk about the realities that we face as a nation of people, and we get offended. But you're not offended at what's going on. You know, like we just did a clubhouse room the other day talking about, do Israelites teach hate? It's not that we teach hate, but we teach our people to hate the things that was done unto us. Why don't you hate that? But go ahead.
Verse 29, and after 2 years fully expired, the king sent his chief collector of tribute unto the cities of Judah, who came unto Jerusalem with a great multitude, and spake peaceable words unto them.
And this is just like the enemy. This is just like the devil. He gonna speak real peaceable, right? He gonna make shit sound good. Oh man, no, I'm not worried about that. It's all, look, just meet me here, just bring this, and we're good. Right? But read.
But all was deceit.
But all of that was deceitful. There was ulterior motives at play. Read.
For when they had given him credence, he fell suddenly upon the city.
Look at that. Just as our people was just giving him, like, you know what, man, your majesty, it's all well. Thank you for coming to the town. Thank you for visiting the city. He took that as an opportunity to fall upon our people, meaning he started to kill our people. Read.
and smote it very sore, and destroyed much people of Israel. He took our kindness for weakness. Huh?
Yeah, that's exactly what he did. Exactly.
And when he had taken the spoils of the city, he set it on fire and pulled down the houses and walls thereof on every side. But the women and children took they captive and possessed the cattle.
That's why we seriously question Black, Latino, and Native American women who willingly date white people. We question you. It's safe to say you're an enemy to your people. It doesn't matter if he isn't the one who did it. The fact that his forefathers did it and he's not willing to go above and beyond to make that situation right with you and your people, that's good enough for you not to mess with him. Because white people will say that, oh, I didn't do that. Yeah, but your forefathers did. And you benefit from this system that they set up to be in favor of you. And you know that there's things that we can't get in this system, and you're okay with living like that. Your lifelong mission isn't to fight for the equality of blacks and you. You can care less. So sisters, y'all got to stop that. There ain't no dating no white people, no marrying white people. Love your own people. Read.
And possessed the cattle, then builded they the city of David with a great and strong wall, and with mighty towers, and made it a stronghold for them. And they put therein a sinful nation, wicked men, and fortified themselves therein. They stored it also with armor and victuals, and when they had gathered together the spoils of Jerusalem, they laid them up there, and so they became a sore snare. For it was a place to lie in wait against the sanctuary, and an evil adversary to Israel.
You see that? These people were an evil adversary to us. To be adversarial means to be against. You are anti-me, right? And that's still the same energy. It's still the same spirit. It's still the same people that we're dealing with today. It doesn't matter that they smile in your face, that they finally let you shit on the same toilets that they shit on, that you can drink from the same fountains. That's okay. They're willing to give you all of that as long as we're still at the bottom. And that's what we have to understand as a nation of people. Read.
Thus they shed innocent blood on every side of the sanctuary and defiled it. And so much that the inhabitants of Jerusalem fled because of them.
You had a lot of our people leaving. And this is why I hate people who be teaching this whack 12 tribes chart. You had our people, right, being dispersed out of Israel even then. 1st century BC. Where were these Israelites running to? You can find out they was running in places like Turkey, running into Africa, running into different places of Asia Minor. Some of our people went as far as to go into India, Iraq, Arabia. All of these different places our people was fleeing to. So what tribe are they from? But go ahead.
Whereupon the city was made an habitation of strangers, and became strange to those that were born in her, and her own children left her. Her sanctuary was laid waste like a wilderness. Her feasts were turned into mourning, her Sabbath into reproach, her honor into contempt. As had been her glory, so was her dishonor increased.
Man, it said for as great as Jerusalem was known for being, it was even known more for how worse it looked after these evil men got done dealing with us. We was being more known for being destroyed and being a wilderness than the holy people in the holy city of God. Read on.
And her excellency was turned into mourning. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people.
And it's funny because this is something that our people talk about today. Oh, the New World Order, the New World Order. Dude, that's been on Esau's mind. What does that mean when he's writing to his whole kingdom? Because remember, he ruled over different nations of people. He said, look, everybody, we going to be one people. We all going to pledge allegiance to this one place. We all going to follow the same laws. Read.
And everyone should leave his laws.
You see that? That was the first thing. Look, to hell with what you doing over there in Iraq. To hell with y'all doing over there in Jerusalem. Look, leave that and do what I do. We're all going to be one people. Go ahead.
So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king.
There's nothing for the heathen. All right, cool. We like what you got going on, Antiochus. But again, this is what the heathen did. Read.
Yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion and sacrificed unto idols and profaned the Sabbath.
Damn. A lot of our people consented to that same madness. And it's crazy because that's exactly what America does to our people today. Forget that you ever came from Africa, nigger. Celebrate Christmas. Celebrate Halloween. Celebrate Thanksgiving. Because we're all going to be one people, one big happy family here in America. A lot of our people consented to that same BS. And y'all don't even know. As a whole, we don't even know that some of these feast days that we celebrate, and you offering things up to idols. The Christmas tree. Why you got to bow down to this tree to receive the presents that it's giving you? Y'all ain't never thought about that? And so much, when them presents is being delivered, you don't even open your eyes and peek. Man, you done made this a god. You leaving cookies out for Santa? Those are sacrifices. Because you giving him these cookies, and in turn, if he like the cookies, he going to give you some presents, especially if you've been a good boy and a good girl. It's foolishness. They've dumbed down idolatry and fed it to our people, and we've openly accepted it. That's not acceptable, Israel. That's not acceptable. We got to stop doing what it is America is telling us to do and start doing what it is God's telling us to do. Read on.
For the king has sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judah that they should follow the strange laws of the land.
And, no disrespect to my brothers who teach something similar to this. I understand we in a time period where knowledge is being increased and the Most High is working with everybody differently. But stop teaching to follow the laws of the land. That is bullshit. The Most High never said that. You got some people who will sit here and teach that you are a wicked abomination if you want to have a second wife. But why? Because America said it's unlawful. The Bible says we ought to obey God rather than men. And then here's the hypocrisy. You can be in a place like Ghana where it's completely lawful under their government, but you still can't do it because now you'll be a fornicator, and it's foolishness. The Bible said that many also of the Israelites consented to his religion, right? Profane the Sabbath, and that we should follow the strange laws of the land. Those were strange laws that we following. The laws of America are strange. In America, it's okay for two men to come together in a holy unity with God. But it's unlawful for a man in righteousness to take more than one wife. This is the land of Satan. Why are we following the strange laws of Satan? Let's go. Let's continue on.
And forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice and drink offerings in the temple, and that they should profane the Sabbath and festival days.
And that's exactly what our people do. America has taught you through just the culture, growing up watching movies, that Friday night and Saturday, those are the days you live it up. Not even knowing that's the Sabbath day, a day of rest, a holy day unto the Most High. And they've taught us to profane it and pollute it. We do it willingly. We're so good and we love it so much, I can tell you that you're breaking the commandments of God by working on Saturday, by working on Friday night. And you can say, well, man, shit is what it is. That's unacceptable, Israel. Go ahead.
And pollute the sanctuary and holy people.
Mm-hmm.
Set up altars and groves and chapels of idols, and sacrifice swine's flesh and unclean beasts.
Yep.
That they should also lead their children uncircumcised and make their souls abominable with all manner of uncleanness and profanation.
Go ahead.
To the end they might forget the law and change all the ordinances.
You see, that's the cold part. It's not good enough just to oppress the children of Israel. They said they said they want to oppress us so bad to the end that we even forgot that we had our own laws to begin with. And that is exactly what we are facing here and today. Got so many of our brothers, Man, we kings and queens. Africa. All right. What did we do when we was in Africa? What laws did we keep? Our people don't even care enough to go and inquire. Like that's how sad it is, and when you really have to examine the state of your oppression. Because I grew up the exact same way. I'm not sitting here talking as if, you know, you're beneath me because you don't know. I remember being the person who didn't know. That's why I'm here sharing this information, hoping you gather it, right? But all these years where, man, I was of a good understanding, right? I'm a teenager, 16, 17, 15. You're not no little kid, but you also not a grown man, but you still have reasoning ability. With all of that, I never even thought to Google, why do we celebrate? Where did Christmas come from? Where did Halloween come from? Okay, they told me I was a slave. Where did I come from? Okay, there's some evidence of, you know, slaves coming from Ghana. What were we doing in Ghana? What laws were we keeping there? Like, these thoughts don't even cross our people's minds. But read that last verse.
To the end that they might forget the law and change all the ordinances.
All of our ordinances that we once kept according to this Bible have been changed. And now we keeping what it is America has given us. I'm literally like, for everybody, the Dr. Umar Johnsons, and for everybody else who wants to, you know, call themselves pro-black and they're the face of the people, the ambassadors of the minorities, right? And they're trying to make our reality some type of just like mystical, and nobody really understands how it happened. The Bible is clearly telling you how and why our people ended up in a state of oppression, how we ended up being slaves here in America. The Bible is detailing this information to our people. Now, why it won't be accepted, only God knows, right? But we're telling our people, according to the Bible, this is why we suffer. Because remember, things only got this bad once we consented and started doing the wickedness that the other nations was teaching us. It's not a secret. It's not this big mystery. It's not no conspiracy, right? It's all confirmed. It's a fact. But go ahead.
And whosoever would not do according to the commandment of the king, he said he should die.
And best believe, we're going to be getting back to these times. It's coming. To where, you know what, if y'all Israelites, if y'all found celebrating that Sabbath next week, we coming in there shooting. Well, guess what? We going to have to deal with that, because we still going to celebrate these Sabbaths. We still going to keep these commandments of the Most High. We not going to be like our foolish forefathers and foremothers who sold out, right? And that's why you got to understand now, the black leaders who America promotes are not black leaders. They're following the agenda and taking orders from our oppressor. The Cardi B's, the Oprahs, they're not for our people. They work for the enemy. Israelites, righteous men and women keeping these commandments, these are the people you need to be looking for as leaders. But go ahead.
Verse 51, in the selfsame manner wrote he to his whole kingdom, and appointed overseers over all the people, commanding the cities of Judah to sacrifice city by city. Then many of the people were gathered unto them, to wit, every one that forsook the law, and so they committed evils in the land, and drove the Israelites into secret places, even wheresoever they could fly for succor. Flee for succor. Now in the 15th day of the month Caslu, in 145th year, they set up the abomination of desolation upon the altar, and builded idol altars throughout the cities of Judah on every side.
They wasn't done. They still had a campaign to go out and completely pollute and destroy our people. And it's so crazy. Our people eat pork, shrimp, crab like it's nothing. And these are the things that they were using to defile and pollute our people. We just openly doing it now. Y'all can't wait to go to Kicking Crab and Joe's Crab Shack. Man, if I'm telling you and showing you out the Bible why God said don't do it, stop being disobedient. Just humble yourself and change your ways. Read.
And burnt incense at the doors of their houses and in the streets. And when they had rent in pieces the books of the law, which they found, they burnt them with fire. And wheresoever was found with any the book of the testament, or if any consented to the law, the king's commandment was that they should put him to death.
Exactly. And that's why people look at you funny now when you want to celebrate your own holy days and own feast days, because you're not in alignment with Caesar. You're not in alignment with Antiochus. The rest of your people are, and that's why they look at you funny. They talk a little shit. It's okay. And that's the thing we got to understand. You know, I pray through times that we go through like this with my brothers and sisters that the Most High has us practicing the keeping of these commandments so that our faith can be built up more and more. Because right now, it's not a death penalty for Israelites keeping the Sabbath. And you got so many of us who are sitting here making excuses as to why we can't keep it. You got brothers willingly out here breaking the Sabbath day, right? Having cookouts on the Sabbath. The Most High is going to kill your ass if you do not change. You're an enemy to the Most High when you do stuff like that. And shame on our brothers and sisters who know people cooking on the Sabbath and don't tell them shit. That's foul. Our people are not being put to death right now for keeping the feast days. And some of us are doing such a horrible job at just giving that effort. So when that time comes that a decree is put out, if you see Israelites keeping the Sabbath, man, you're going to rat me out because you want to save your life. You're going to go above and beyond not keeping the Sabbath. You're going to say, you know what, officer? I know some Israelites over there. They be keeping the Sabbath. Every week they keep the Sabbath. And they didn't celebrate Thanksgiving. And they not taking the vaccine. We got to perfect what we got going on now so when the times get to that, we can be that much stronger. And you know what? If some of us actually have to die, then we're going to do it with a smile on our face because we know that we dying in righteousness and that the Most High, he's going to give our just due. Vengeance is in the hands of the Most High. But go ahead.
Verse 58, thus did they by their authority unto the Israelites every month to as many as were found in the cities.
Yep.
Now the 25th day of the month they did sacrifice upon the idol altar, which was upon the altar of God.
Man, these people are so disrespectful, like in a gang world, right? If you hit up on a wall and somebody come and whack your name out and throw up their hood, that's super disrespect. People is ready to shoot you over that. How much more if we have a holy temple, a holy sanctuary set up, right? And an altar set up, and you got other people that come up and set up an altar on top of that one, dedicated to a false god. That's complete disrespect. Read.
At which time, according to the commandment, they put to death certain women.
Look at that. Women, because America caters to y'all, especially our so-called black and Latino women. Y'all need to get y'all minds right. We know it's the whole, bad bitch campaign going on and being a boss bitch. You're going to die alone. The Most High didn't set you up to be all of that. He set you up to be a virtuous woman, right? And you can still do all the extras in righteousness. But it's real common for our women not to get with our men. It said women was being put to death for doing what?
They put to death certain women that had caused their children to be circumcised.
You see that? Our foremothers was making it happen. They knew what the decree was. They said, you know what? We don't care about dying. I need to make sure my son is circumcised on this eighth day because those foremothers, those righteous foremothers, they feared the Most High God. A lot of our sisters today, y'all don't fear the Most High. Y'all fear Esau. Because guess what? You on your best behavior when you at work. You not giving none of your managers, right? None of your upper managers attitudes. You smiling when they come and speak to you. But then you go home and you treat your husband like crap. That shows you don't fear the Most High. You fear your oppressor. But read.
And they hanged the infants about their necks and rifled their houses and slew them that had circumcised them.
Look at that. I need sisters and brothers need sisters who are on that type of time. Read.
Howbeit, many in Israel were fully resolved and confirmed in themselves not to eat any unclean thing.
You see that? A lot of our people, a great deal of our people says, you know what, man, it is what it is. And that's the mind state you get to when you come to understanding. Because you can be so upset about the conditions of our people, but it's humbling when you meditate and say, damn, it's our fault. We're the ones who messed up. The Most High didn't mess up. We messed up. And now we're on punishment. So we got to be on our best behavior coming out of punishment. Our people understood that. They said, man, we can't even be too upset about our situations because we allowed this. We allowed this to happen. But you know what? We're not going to continue down this path. We're going to change. We're going to repent. They said they had it fully understood in their minds. They're not going to eat any unclean thing. For those who want to know what unclean foods are according to the Bible, read Leviticus chapter 11. The Most High tells you what Israelites, so-called blacks, Latinos, Native Americans, what we can and cannot eat. Read on.
Wherefore they chose rather to die, that they might not defile with meats, that they might not be defiled with meats, and that they might not profane the holy covenant. So then they died.
And they said, shit. So then they died. They made up that mind, we're going to keep these commandments. The Most High said, and they died in that same manner. That's how you die honorably. Dying for the hood is not honor. Right? Dying for America, going to war for America, dying for America, that's not honor. Dying for the Most High, that's honorable. Dying for your people, that's honorable. Chapter 2. So all of that was just chapter 1 to give you an introduction of what's going on, right? But let's get it.
First Maccabees chapter 2, verse 1. In those days arose Mattathias, the son of John, the son of Simeon, a priest of the son of Jarib, from Jerusalem, and dwelt in Modin. And he had 5 sons, Johanan, called Caddis, Simon, called Thassi, Judas, who was called Maccabeus, Eleazar, called Avaran, and Jonathan, whose surname was Apis. And when he saw the blasphemies that were committed in Judah and Jerusalem.
So this is one of our forefathers. Excellent man, had an excellent house, Mattathias. He raised 5 strong sons in this truth, keeping these commandments, right? He was living through that time, seeing what was going on with our people. Now, let me show you the difference between a true leader of Israel and a false prophet, right? Read.
He said, woe is me, wherefore was I born to see this misery of my people?
What did the brother say?
Woe is me, wherefore was I born to see this misery of my people?
This brother saw what was going on within the nation and was infuriated. He couldn't believe the report and what he was seeing going on with his people. He said, woe is me. Death is me. Let me die right now. What the hell am I really seeing? How many of us truly have that mind state when we see the destruction of our people? Some of us think it's funny. Y'all remember Orlando Brown? I'm glad the brother cleaned his life up. But remember, he was strung out on some type of drug, doing all them weird-ass interviews. And what was we doing? We was laughing about it, wasn't we? Mattathias didn't have that same mind. He looked at that and was upset about that. Mattathias wouldn't walk up and down Figueroa looking at our sisters being hoes. Like, damn, she got a fat ass. He wouldn't be the first one to run into our brothers fighting, talking about a world star and recording it. That wasn't the type of spirit that brother was moving in. That's not the spirit a righteous leader of Israel moves in. But you can see all the clowns that America throws in our face and says, hey, these are your leaders. Look at how they move. But read.
And of the holy city, and to dwell there, when it was delivered to the hand of the enemy, and the sanctuary into the hand of strangers. Her temple was become as a man without glory. Her glorious vessels are carried away into captivity. Her infants are slain in the streets. Her young men was with the sword of the enemy. What nation had not had a part in her kingdom and gotten of her spoils?
Look at that. He's like, everybody ain't got a piece of Mama Zion. What the hell is really going on? Read.
All her ornaments are taken away. Of a free woman she has become a bond slave. And behold, our sanctuary, even our beauty, and our glory is laid waste, and the Gentiles have profaned it.
Con, hold that real quick. Go to Lamentation. Lamentation chapter 1, verse 10. Because unfortunately, you got a lot of our people who feel like what it is we doing here serving God, that everybody can serve God. That's not true. In Leviticus chapter 25 and verse 55, God said that the children of Israel are his servants. He didn't call everybody else to serve him. He called Israel, which we happen to be. But you have Israelites who will go out of their way and try to open up these doors for everybody, talking about the Most High is here to save the other nations as well. The Most High said he's saving his servants. Leviticus 25:55 says that his servants are the children of Israel. Joel chapter 2 verse 27 said that God only loves us. He only knows us. So where do people find the time to try to pull in these other nations? You still suffering from self-hate. You don't love yourself enough to love your people enough to tell them that it's only for us. You hate yourself, and you looking for some type of fulfillment to get from the other nations. That's not cool. But watch this, read.
1 to 10.
Yep.
Lamentations chapter 1 and verse 10. The adversary had spread out his hand upon all her pleasant things, for she had seen that the heathen enter into her sanctuary.
So the heathen enter into an Israelite sanctuary. Should that ever happen? Read.
Whom thou didst command that they should not enter into thy congregation.
No. No heathens allowed. And that's why it's foolish for brothers who be teaching the Negro-only doctrine. What the hell is a Negro? You going off a white man's definition of what your people are? Like, that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. They'll sit here and say, oh, Filipinos aren't Israelites. So-called Mexicans ain't Israelites. They keeping more of the commandments than you keeping. How aren't they an Israelite? Because the Spirit of the Most High won't allow heathens to come up in his congregation. But Satan would. But read. I think that's all I needed from this. Let's go back to Maccabees.
First Maccabees chapter 2 and verse 8. Her temple is become as a man without glory. Her glorious vessels are carried away into captivity. Her infants are slain in the streets, her young men with the sword of the enemy. What nation had not had a part in her kingdom and gotten of her spoils? All her ornaments are taken away. Of a free woman she has become a bond slave.
Yep.
And behold, our sanctuary, even our beauty, and our glory is laid waste, and the Gentiles have profaned it.
Drop down to 15.
In the meanwhile, the king's officers, such as compelled the people to revolt, came into the city Modin to make them sacrifice. And when many of Israel came unto them, Mattathias also and his sons came together.
Now watch this, read.
Then answered the king's officers and said to Mattathias on this wise, thou art a ruler.
So they peeped off top. Obviously, this brother has some type of recognition and love in the city, because when these people came out, Mattathias and his sons met him. So they said, oh, you're a ruler in this city. I already know who you are. How you doing, man? Look, great day to you. You and all your greatness. I'm coming here with a message from the king. Go ahead.
And an honorable and great man in this city.
Look at that. He trying to stroke his ego, man. We know the people love you here. I mean, they love you. Look at, man. So look, right? Read.
And strengthened with sons and brethren. Now, therefore, come thou first.
He said, look, man, we want you to be the first one to do what?
And fulfill the king's commandment, like as all the heathen have done.
We want you to be the first one, Mattathias, and then all your glorious sons, them next, come up and do as the commandment of the king. Man, come sacrifice on his altar. Read.
Yea, and the men of Judah also, and such as remain at Jerusalem, so shalt thou and thy house be in the number of the king's friends.
He said, look, man, not only this, I'm going to make you popular in the real world too, because look, the king, he going to know about you. Go ahead.
And thou and thy children shall be honored with silver and gold.
Now, you know what the cold part is? This is the same agreement all these entertainers signed up for. All your famous rappers, this is the exact same proposal they came with. Look, man, man, we going to make you great. We going to give you all type of riches and gold, man. Your kids is going to be set. Everybody going to know who you are, but you got to do as the commandment of the king. So why you think they friends of our enemy, right? Look what they rap about. Look what they sing about. Dysfunction, disorder in marriages, adultery, whoremongering, killing your brothers, selling drugs. You telling me these are the men who deserve all of life's riches? Come on now, read.
Silver and gold and many rewards. Then Mattathias answered and spake with a loud voice, though all the nations that are under the king's dominion obeyed him.
So he had to give a speech to the people at this point. He know he got all the eyes of Israel looking upon him. He said, look, even though the rest of these heathens then bowed down to whatever the king is saying, what do he say? Go ahead.
And fall away every one from the religion of their fathers and give consent to his commandments.
Go ahead.
Yet will I and my sons and my brethren walk in the covenant of our fathers.
He let the people know at that moment what it was going to be. Because remember, we're all brothers. We're all sisters. So he was making an example and telling the people what they was going to do. That's what a real leader does. When you faced with opposition and your people might be a little bit on edge, you need to tell them how to think in righteousness, because that's exactly what America does now. All this time our people spend on social media scrolling and scrolling. Your feed is telling you what to think about. But that's why the Most High is setting new leaders up within the nation, because we telling you what to think about now. Y'all need to be thinking about these commandments. The brother looked the dude in the face and said, look, me, my brothers, my household, we all going to keep the commandments of my God. You really wasting your time here. Go ahead.
God forbid that we should forsake the law and the
He
ordinances.
said, the hell we look like forsaking the law and the ordinances. Do you know who we are? Do you not know about Deuteronomy 28? If we leave these commandments and these laws, the Most High is going to curse us. The hell we look like doing that? But read.
We will not hearken to the king's word to go from our religion either on the right hand or the left.
And this is just a side note, but I always be having to correct brothers and correct sisters when, oh, the Bible doesn't teach religion. We're not a religion. Yes, we are. Religion is what you practice. We practice the commandments of the Bible. The same commandments our forefathers was reading and applying, that's the same thing we doing. This is our religion. We practice the keeping of these commandments. Just like you religiously brush your teeth. You practice brushing your teeth every morning, every night, in between meals, whatever. So brothers can lay that to rest. Yes, we have a real religion, pure religion, as it's talked about in the New Testament. Go ahead.
Now when he had left speaking these words.
Now watch this. Imagine me giving a speech of all speeches, a nigga up here giving a Malcolm X speech. And right when I'm done, what?
There came one of the Jews in the sight of all to sacrifice on the altar.
After I just got done talking about what we not finna do, you got a Jake just sit here, walking his ass up to go and sacrifice on the altar that I just said we not about to sacrifice on. How you think that made Mattathias feel? How would that make you feel? That's like, that's like you got a homie who got locked up, right, for stealing. And you got his bail money and everything. You got him out that situation. You had lawyers, whatever. You got him to beat that case. And you up there giving it your all. You vouching for this brother. Man, look, my guy is good. He made a mistake. I can guarantee you it ain't going to never happen again. And then right after that, you see him about to break into somebody's house. How would that make you feel? Angry, right? How would that make you feel, Lot? I'd be hot. I'd be hot. But read.
Which was at Modin, according to the king's commandment. Which thing when Mattathias saw, he was inflamed with zeal.
Why would Mattathias be inflamed with zeal if we're all Israel? It doesn't matter what you believe. We just all need to come together. Why would Mattathias be upset about that if that's what the doctrine of the Most High was? You see, Mattathias was a righteous Israelite. He wasn't no half-ass Israelite like what you see today. A lot of half-ass Israelites. People who want to sit here and talk about it and know that they are Israelite, but they not doing nothing that's required for you to really hold that position. Right? And that's the foolishness that we face a lot of times. Go to Proverbs 11 and 21 real quick. Because you got a lot of our people who will be teaching this, it don't matter what you believe. As long as you know that you an Israelite, man, I'm willing to come together with you. Matter of fact, I'm even ready to go out and hit the front lines, the battlefield with you, and you could be right here in a unity camp. It don't matter what you believe. Mattathias didn't say that. Better yet, God never said do that. Y'all ain't never read about what happens when Israel went to war and there was sin in the camp? Righteous people got put to death for that. Just because the Most High's spirit was off. He said, look, I can't really be with y'all how I want to be with y'all because there's wickedness amongst you. But watch this, read this.
Proverbs 11, verse 21, though hand join in hand.
Though hand join in hand. Brothers is standing strong together. He said, though hand join in hand, what?
The wicked shall not be unpunished.
It don't matter what it is you fooling yourself to believe, right? Because you can say it don't matter what you believe, but God said it definitely does. It don't matter how many unity camps y'all doing, how many brothers, how many powerful brothers in the Lord y'all linking up with. He said if they wicked, they still gonna get dealt with. Read.
But the seed of the righteous shall be delivered.
But the seed of the righteous is gonna be delivered. Let's go back to Maccabees. Pick up verse 24.
Which thing when Mattathias saw, he was inflamed with zeal, and his reins trembled.
Man, y'all ever been so mad y'all was shaking? Like, you don't know what to do with this anger, but you just know, like, you want to hurt somebody. Hell yeah. That's a scary feeling to be in, too, when you feel like you about to lose it. Because it don't take a lot to kill somebody. That be that moment. That's how he was feeling. After he done sat there and gave his speech and talked about how we going to stand up for the righteousness of the commandments and what our forefathers was doing, and you got a coon who done went up in the midst sitting here ready to sacrifice. Oh, he was hot. Read.
Neither could he forbear to show his anger according to judgment.
You see that? He was showing his anger according to judgment. And that's one thing I hate with this whole unity camp thing, because nobody is exercising judgment. I got a brother who went to the last Israelite summit and said there was brothers barbecuing on the Sabbath. How the hell all these righteous Israelites around and ain't nobody said nothing or kicked that damn barbecue pit over? Oh, right, because it doesn't matter what you believe in. You're a brother in Christ, and I got to respect that. And it's foolishness, man. Nobody is showing judgment according to the Bible, according to what the Most High would have. What's the judgment if you catch an Israelite committing idolatry? What's the judgment?
Death.
Death. It says you're supposed to be the first one to put hands on them. So you telling me if there's Israelites who's into idolatry, it don't matter what he believe in? As long as he know he an Israelite? You willing to hold camp with somebody like that? And then if you're not, you need to start detailing what the lines are, where you draw the line in the sand, saying if you do believe in this, this, or this, then I can't rock with you. That's the type of spirit we need to start getting in. You know, I'm cool with many brothers from different congregations, and that's fine. But I actually got intentions on building with y'all for real, for real. I don't want to be just Israelites just so we can link up and take pictures and do a couple songs. I want to be real Israelites indeed. Let's open up this Bible, bro, and talk about doctrine. How am I sit here and say you my homie and we not believing in the same thing? Can two walk together except they be agreed? No. Man, if we really brothers, we should be able to sit and talk about the Bible. Look, you got this understanding. I got this understanding. Let's open up the word and see what the Most High is really saying. Let's see who makes the most sense. And at that point in time, if whoever's winning, you know, in the spirit of the Most High, then that's who brothers should be submitting themselves to in righteousness as far as that understanding goes. Because it's not a YASHAMI show. It's not a Yaquatazah show. It's not a True Nation show. We're only vessels teaching what the Most High said. So it's not that you're following us. We're all following the Father, following Yahweh Shai, the Lamb. But go ahead and read.
Wherefore he ran and slew him upon the altar.
He killed him right there on the altar he was getting ready to sacrifice on. And you got to understand what type of impact he made when he did that within the nation. He just confirmed so many people's, man, suspicions and questions, probably like, man, should we really be following Mattathias? I hear what he's saying, but when they saw that, they said, oh, no, I know he's doing the right thing. That's according to the law. And that's what we got to start looking towards, right? People who, because you got a lot of Israelites that be scared to pull the trigger. I remember a point in time in True Nations history where you couldn't even do a lesson talking about somebody else's camp. Non-confrontational Israelites, right? But man, we got so much love and respect from so many of our brothers in different camps because we're not scared to speak up on BS. We're not scared to actually show love when brothers is doing a good job. Right? Because that's what it's all about. But go ahead.
Also, the king's commissioner who compelled men to sacrifice, he killed at that time, and the altar he pulled down. Thus dealt he zealously for the law of God, like as Phinehas did unto Zambri, the son of Selum.
Look at that. And it said he even went inside the temple and started taking down everything that they was messing up. All the BS that they was posting up, they altars and things like that, he was taking them down. Reestablishing what our forefathers did, right? Go ahead.
And Mattathias cried throughout the city with a loud voice, saying, whosoever is zealous of the law and maintaineth the covenant, let him follow me.
Go to Isaiah. Hold that. Go to Isaiah 58:1. So people can get a better understanding of why we bring this scripture out and what that actually looks like in real time. It said this brother was going throughout the city crying. Doesn't mean he was boo-hooing, but means he was at the top of his voice, door to door, through the towns. Israel, if y'all trying to keep these commandments, y'all tired of the BS that's happening because we in sin, repent. If y'all want to keep these commandments, follow me. Read.
Isaiah chapter 58, verse 1. Cry aloud, spare not.
See, the Most High said, cry aloud and spare not. The things that we can't spare is our people's feelings. To hell with your feelings. You'll have new feelings, right? Nah, real talk. You'll have new feelings. Man, that's why, like, even, like, dealing with our women, like, brothers, oh, my wife, like, man, she'll get over it. We need to have that same mindset with our people. Look, they probably not might like what I'm about to tell them, but so what? They'll get over it. Read.
Cry aloud, spare not. Lift up thy voice like a trumpet.
And do what?
And show my people their transgression.
No, condemn Edomites and have them kissing your boots.
Show my people their transgression.
Man, do it for the gram.
Show my people their transgression.
God said we are supposed to be showing our people their transgressions. And that's the problem that people have with the Israelites. Because y'all teach hate, y'all are bigots, y'all are womanizers, and no, you just hate order. You hate righteousness. And ultimately, you hate God. Because I didn't make up what I'm saying. I'm reading it out the Bible. Right? So that means you have an issue with what God set up. God said you can't eat pork, not me. Why are you upset with me? Don't demonize the movement because you upset with God. That's all I needed from there, though. So that's what the brother was doing, going throughout the towns, crying aloud, showing his people, like, look, I understand y'all probably went off. The Most High, he's trying to do something right now. We need to repent. Who's down? Read.
So he and his sons fled into the mountains and left all that they had in the city.
You see that? And that's what a lot of our people aren't willing to do. Y'all willing to follow righteousness into some type of wilderness? Or are you comfortable here in America? You comfortable in your house that you work so hard for? You comfortable in your Benz? You comfortable going to BET Experience? It said that they left everything they ever knew to go into the mountains to keep the commandments of the Most High and figure out what our people need to do to get out of this state of oppression. Read.
Then many that sought after justice and judgment went down into the wilderness to dwell there.
You see that? Many of our people who were seeking justice had somewhere to go. But look at what the example of a righteous man can do within the nation. Because the Bible don't say that there was somebody else itching to speak to the officer that came into the town and tell him hell no. Everybody was probably on eggshells like, damn, we already know why he here. Who's going to tell him? Mattathias said, I'll do it. That's what having one righteous man can do for the nation of our people. That city was saved, right, in a spiritual sense, through the righteousness of one man standing up, having a backbone, and being willing to be hated by others for his own people's well-being. That's a hell of a leader. We need more leaders like that and less leaders of what we have right now in the nation. Men who are only concerned about what they're about to gain out of being in that position. Men who could care less about the affairs of the people. We need less of those type of leaders and more Mattathias and his sons. Read.
Both they and their children and their wives and their cattle, because afflictions increased sore upon them. Now when it was told the king's servants and the host that was at Jerusalem in the city of David that certain men who had broken the king's commandment were gone down into the secret places in the wilderness. They pursued after them a great number, and having overtaken them, they camped against them and made war against them on the Sabbath day.
Watch this. Go to Revelation. Hold that. Go to Revelation 12 and 17. I like to bring this out a lot because, believe it or not, when most brothers in the nation is doing lessons, these lessons really be reminders to ourselves, first and foremost. And secondly, we give it to y'all so that y'all could be encouraged, that y'all could be filled with zeal to continue on doing the right thing. But when I read things like this, it's so confirming to my own soul, right, and my own just thoughts and things that I deal with as to what it is we really up against. What is the real battle? And this right here explains it. Read that.
Revelations chapter 12, verse 17. And the dragon was wroth with the woman.
Dealing with Satan, right? The Satan was upset with the woman. We're talking about Zion, our people, because this is spoken of in a poetic sense. Read.
And went to make war with the remnant of her seed.
That did what?
Which keep the commandments of God.
Satan's whole mission is to be at war with those who keep the commandments. Had conversations with a brother talking about even if you are somebody who is teaching people to break the commandments of the Most High, that you're going to be in the kingdom. You're stupid. Satan makes war against those who keep the commandments. So if you're teaching people to break the commandments, that means you're of Satan. Like, I don't know if brothers think about this type of stuff before they get on public platforms and teach it. Read that again.
And the dragon was wroth with the woman and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of God.
This is letting you know that all of Israel, it's only a remnant of us keeping these commandments. And when I say a remnant, I'm not saying like 15 people, because we're a nation that's counted as the sand of the sea. It's millions upon millions of Israelites. But even out of 1 million Israelites, if only 150,000 of them are keeping the commandments, that's a remnant. The majority of Israelites will not be keeping the commandments. So you need to question and seriously start looking differently at leaders of Israel who teach you to break the commandments of God. That's a huge red flag, right? Let's go back to Maccabees. So it said Satan's job is to make war against those who keep the commandments. But what did Maccabees just say? Verse 32.
Verse 32, first Maccabees. They pursued after them a great number, and having overtaken them, they camped against them and made war against them on the Sabbath day.
Look at that. They made war against those remnant of Israelites who was keeping the commandments. You see that? The Israelites who was teaching everybody can be saved and I don't want to keep these commandments. I'm cool celebrating your feast days. They was in safety. They was chilling with the other heathens. And that's why a lot of our people fold, because you don't want the unnecessary. Well, not that it's unnecessary. It's very necessary. But a lot of our people just don't want them extra problems. You figure, look, my life is hard enough. I'm just trying to get by. The last thing I need to be doing is keeping some damn commandments, and it's going to be having people upset with me. That's the mind state of an individual who thinks like that. You being selfish. You care about you and you only. And that's the problem within the Black and Latino community. Is too many people only worried about themselves. At what point do you say, to hell with me, I need to focus on we? Seriously. At what point does that happen? When do we have those type of conversations? For all of these posts that talk about let's normalize this, let's normalize that, when are we going to normalize being a nation of people and stop being so selfish? That's my question to you, Israel. But go ahead.
And they said unto them, let that which you have done hitherto suffice, come forth and do according to the commandment of the king, and you shall live.
And look, that's the cold part. The devil, and he was probably lying anyways. He said, look, everything y'all did, I'm willing to look past it. That's water under the bridge. Y'all done made us travel out here in these damn mountains chasing y'all asses. Look, just keep the king's commandment, and I'm going to let y'all live. Read.
But they said, we will not come forth, neither will we do the king's commandment to profane the Sabbath day. So then they gave them the battle with all speed. Howbeit they answered them not, neither cast they a stone at them, nor stopped the places where they lay hid, but said, let us die all in our innocency. Heaven and earth shall testify for us that you put us to death wrongfully.
Man, look at that. Our people, they were so devoted to the Most High. They were overzealous. Now, that's probably somebody saying, YASHAMI, what you mean? The Most High said, look, there's nothing wrong with protecting yourself. They could have easily fought back on the Sabbath day. But our people were so zealous for the law. They said, man, Most High, just in case you might be upset with us fighting back on the Sabbath, we not even going to fight. We just going to sit here and let your will be done. And for all of that, you got our people nowadays who sell out for nothing. Sell out for nothing. No type of persecution coming your way like this. And you sell out for nothing. You should be ashamed of yourself. I'm telling you. But read.
So they rose up against them in battle on the Sabbath, and they slew them with their wives and children and their cattle to the number 1,000 people.
So 1,000 of our people lost our lives that day. Men, women, and children, and cattle. At what point do we start to change the conversation, black men, Latino men? I seen brothers do a sit down from, I forgot what the channel was, but a few brothers from different gangs here in L.A. You know, and Jake's talking about, you know, I've already come to conclusion that I might die for the hood. It is what it is. However, I want the hood to be better. I'm trying to do this and do that. At what point do you leave the hood alone so that you can start living for your wife, your kids, right? All the things that you've worked for to leave a legacy. Why have your legacy shot down, literally, on some street corner when you can actually be here fighting for your nation? Instead of fighting your nation, you could be fighting for your nation. Right? But read.
Now when Mattathias and his friends understood hereof, they mourned for them right sore. And one of them said to another, if we all do as our brethren have done, and fight not for our lives and laws against the heathen, they will now quickly root us out of the earth.
And this is also a testament to show that we're always developing, we're always growing and evolving in the understanding of the Most High's commandments. And I'm not saying that in some type of, you know, mystical and some type of exoteric knowledge type thing to where, see, because you got brothers who will be like, you see, once you really understand the commandments, you ain't even got to keep them. Like, they be saying stupid stuff like that. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is, at this point in time in the Maccabees, our people had already been keeping the Sabbath day for thousands of years. Right? So you would have thought at that point in time, we would have had the understanding that, oh, no, we can fight back on the Sabbath. So it's the same thing that we dealing with in today's times. You got a lot of our brothers, the One West, right? Y'all still holding on to all these old-ass, outdated-ass understandings, not even understanding that the Most High, he's given that increase as far as knowledge and understanding of his doctrine. You got brothers who's opening up this word and giving sound doctrine according to the Most High, but you got to be willing to hear it. And I'm not sitting there saying True Nation has the truth, but for those who watch, y'all see what our doctrine is. Can't too many people come against it. You know, we're not teaching things out of filthy lucre, as the scriptures talk about. We wholeheartedly here for the people, and we want to do what's right on behalf of our people. So look, like I said, have those conversations. But again, the Most High, he's given us a better understanding. Go ahead.
Verse 41, at that time, therefore, they decreed, saying, whosoever shall come to make battle with us on the Sabbath day, we will fight against them. Neither will we die all as our brethren that were murdered in the secret places. Then came there unto him a company of Assyrians, who were mighty men of Israel.
And at this time, our people was already scattered, right? You had our people going under the guise or the name of the Assyrians, living in a whole different region. But because of persecution, we had started to come back together, right? Go ahead.
Even all such as were voluntarily devoted unto the law.
Uh-huh.
Also all they that fled for persecution joined themselves unto them.
So we started to assemble an army at this point. And the thing is, too, that I need people to understand, because we get so, man, shout out to Bishop Tazayawan. He did a great lesson. I feel like a lot of Israel overlooked. I feel like I even overlooked it. I got to go back and watch it again. But he talked about as far as our enemies. Do I love my enemy or do I slay my enemy? And he was going into all these different understandings of how to deal with our people. Because when it comes to judgment within the nation, man, it's horrible. You got some people who lean too much on the grace and mercy and love that Christ talked about, forgetting that Christ also physically put hands on people and whipped people and was flipping tables, right? So when it comes to judgment, there's an imbalance a lot of times. And, you know, I posted this scripture up, I think, earlier last week, and I was met with a bunch of different understandings. People talking about how we got to love our people and all of this. And, yeah, you do, but you can't forget love is the keeping of the commandments. It is commanded that we judge our people when they are off. And so much, you hate your brother if you don't want to do that. You think Israelites just wanted to put wicked Israelites to death? No. I'm sure we would just like, man, just get your stuff together. But according to the law of the Most High, I have to. It's law and order. Our lives are so dysfunctional because we don't have the order of the scriptures effectively in place. We still juggling, right? So I say all of that for this. Read. Verse 44.
So they joined their forces and smote sinful men in their anger.
So these righteous men, all those who were fighting for righteousness, came together and was killing a lot of unrighteous Israelites. Again, it's not the come one, come all. This ain't, you know, the after hours club where it don't matter what you did throughout the day, just come here and we all good. No. This is a righteous brotherhood, man. Like keeping this is like righteous gangbanging on a real level. We keep the commandments of the Most High and we fight for the Most High. That's our hood. That's our set. And when you got enemies coming to our territory, you got to deal with them accordingly. These brothers wasn't going around seeking peace with all those who were wicked. They wasn't trying to be buddy-buddy. They did not want to be friends with wicked-ass Israelites. They put them to death. The only way Israel is going to have peace is if we are keeping the commandments. You got to kill those who don't want peace, because those who don't want peace are going to be influential and teach other people to also not want peace. And now you got a sinful nation. That's why the Most High literally says certain things you had to kill these people so that you can get rid of folly out of Israel. Where did Christ teach anything different? Christ said, in so much, all you niggas and Mexicans at the end of the day, and for any of the other heathens who don't want me to be king, when that time has come, bring them before me so I can cut your head off. Where did Christ teach anything different? What Christ was showing us was that how we should have already been with our people. Remember, we're living in a cursed condition where it said our eye is evil towards one another. Christ was showing us how to be in a blessed condition. The things Christ was teaching us was how we're going to be dealing with one another in righteousness. He never said, if you see a wicked Israelite, don't deal with them. I mean, he never said that if you see a wicked Israelite, embrace them. No, he said, correct them. Why do you think Christ spent so much time around sinners? Because he was showing them where they were going wrong. He wasn't chilling with them. He was amongst them. No different from us. We go to work every single day. You're amongst your people. Use that as an opportunity to show them, hey, look, we got commandments that we got to keep. Because the Most High said what? First he's going to send us as what? Fishermen, right? What comes after that? The hunters. He said, I'm going to send forth for the fishers, and then I'm going to send them hunters. We're going to be hunting y'all. The same ones that we was fishing for, trying to save, now we're going to be hunting you. It's going to be that time. But read on.
Wicked men in their wrath, but the rest fled to the heathen for succor.
You see that? So we was whooping ass. And some of the Israelites, they took off and ran to the heathens looking for some type of safety. That's sad. It's disgusting. But these are the type of people that we openly embrace within the nation now. Not here at True Nation. No, no. No, sir. We do not rock with wicked Israelites. Had a brother sitting here asking me like, so does that mean if somebody else believes in a different doctrine, you just automatically don't mess with them? No, that's not what I'm saying. If you think that the full moon is a new moon and we teach that the crescent moon is the new moon, I don't just not rock with you just because of your lack of understanding. There's opportunity to build. You know what? I'm going to introduce myself to you. Just because we Israelites, we men. Shalom, brother. How you doing? We going to get real good because I'm going to treat you with respect at all times. And we're going to be at a point eventually in our relationship where, you know what, all them guards had came down. All them walls that you had up, they down now. Like, you know what, bro? Man, let's open up the Bible. Let's talk doctrine. I'm going to show you exactly why we teach that the crescent moon is the new moon. Not only do you not ever read about a full moon being a new moon in the scriptures, but you don't find within our history of our people celebrating a full moon as our new moon. There is a lot more historical evidence that shows our people kept first light, the very first crescent. That comes after the conjunction, which is what a lot of our brothers celebrate as the new moon. That's what we used to celebrate, the dark moon. It's actually called the conjunction. Remember, we would have watchmen who would go out and blow up the horn when they saw the new moon. How can you see a dark moon? It doesn't show in the sky. But you can see that first light. But I digress. Let's go ahead and read on.
Then Mattathias and his friends went round about and pulled down the altars. And what children soever they found within the coast of Israel uncircumcised, those they circumcised valiantly.
It says those they circumcised valiantly, meaning they didn't care about the repercussions or none of that. Because remember, the decree was put out. It was death if you was found doing this. They said, to hell with them. We doing it anyways. Go ahead.
They pursued also after the proud men, and the work prospered in their hand. So they recovered the law out of the hand of the Gentiles and out of the hand of the kings. Neither suffered they the sinner to triumph.
You see that? They didn't suffer the sinner to triumph. If you was a wicked Israelite in that day, man, you did not have any luck. You got no brownie points in the eyes of Mattathias. Matter of fact, he was finna make sure he finna take you out the game. Y'all couldn't even get a leg up. And that's what we trying to get back to right now, in righteousness. You feel me? Because it's too many times I see people taking the banner or the flag that they represent of their organization and acting as if you got some type of monopoly on the truth and as if you got some type of stake in it, like this is mine for the taking. No. Hell no. Like I said, it's not the True Nation show. To hell with the name True Nation. This is just the vehicle. Brothers collectively getting this vehicle to do the works. Because guess what? If you had a destination to get to and it was 10 miles away, you would much rather get in a car than walk. That's all the congregations are. That's all the organizations are, is a vehicle. You come here collectively to put in works so we can get to our destination faster. So it's not that we're doing this just to say, look at what True Nation has done in the earth. The Most High said he'll give his credit to those who we feel is worthy of that. But we doing this so that we can recover the law out of the hands of the Gentiles. Restore all of that information. Everything that was taken from us as far as who we are, what we are, what we did as a nation of people. We're restoring that so that the Most High can triumph, right? Go ahead.
Verse 49, now when the time drew near that Mattathias should die, he said unto his sons, now hath pride and rebuke gotten strength in the time of destruction and the wrath of indignation.
So look, Mattathias, he's getting ready to give his final breath. He wanted to encourage his sons and bless his sons, right? Because his fight was about to be over. Read.
Now therefore, my sons, be ye zealous for the law, and give your lives for the covenant of your father.
You see that? It's the very first thing Mattathias is encouraging his sons with. This is exactly what we should be teaching our children at a young age. You got a generation of soft-ass kids that don't want to be told nothing. Look, son, they might kill us. You need to be willing to die for your law, die for your people, die for the covenant that our forefathers agreed to. You need to be willing to die for that. Read.
Call to remembrance what acts our fathers did in their time, so shall ye receive great honor and an everlasting name.
You see that? Seek what your forefathers did. That's how you get an everlasting name. There's too many of our brothers trying to carve out their own lane. Trying to, look what I did. No, our forefathers already did it. Follow the blueprint. Read.
Was not Abraham found faithful in temptation? And it was imputed unto him for righteousness. Joseph, in the time of his distress, kept the commandment and was made Lord of Egypt.
Man, what else do you need to hear getting ready to go out and fight your enemies? Right? Read.
Phinehas, our father, in being zealous and fervent, obtained a covenant of an everlasting priesthood. Jesus, for fulfilling the word, was made a judge in Israel. Caleb, for bearing witness before the congregation, received the heritage of the land. David, for being merciful, possessed the throne of an everlasting kingdom. Elias, for being zealous and fervent for the law, was taken up into heaven.
And you know what I take out of all of this? How many times are we honestly thinking upon the acts of our forefathers to pull strength from? How often are we meditating upon our history, the great things that our forefathers and our foremothers did, and pull strength from it? Like, as a nation today, we are so weak. We're so fearful. We fear everything. We fear bugs. We fear losing this. We fear our lights getting turned off. We fear not having internet. You fear waking up late. Like, we have so many fears. When do we, you feel me, comfort these fears by thinking about our forefathers and our foremothers? Sisters be in these relationships with brothers, and they swear it's just the end of the world. We just can't get along, and he's this. And sis, read about your foremother Abigail. She had a wicked-ass husband, and she maintained her righteousness, and the Most High got rid of him. Brothers, man, our wives, she this, whoop-de-whoop-whoop. It's like, man, we saw what happened when our forefathers had unrighteous wives, wicked wives. The Most High will remove them for us. We got to start focusing more and be worried about this work. Read.
Ananias, Azarias, and Misael, by believing, were saved out of the flame. Daniel, for his innocency, was delivered from the mouth of lions. And thus consider ye throughout all ages that none that put their trust in him shall be overcome.
Understand that. When you really put, really put your trust in the Most High, how is he going to fail you? How? The Most High said he'll do nothing but be good unto his people Israel, right? Because they always let us say that. For God is good. Yeah, but finish the rest of that scripture. It said God is good to Israel. Actually, let me get that real quick, because that's one of the Christians' favorite scriptures. Oh, God is good. Who is God good to? Give me, where's it at? Psalm 73:1. God is great. Won't he do it? Yes, he will. Won't he will?
Psalms chapter 73, verse 1. Truly, God is good.
Ooh, truly, God is good. Go ahead.
To Israel.
To Israel. God is so good to us, Israel, and we just be doing the Most High dirty. He's super good to us. Read.
Even to such as are of a clean heart.
You see that? The Most High love an individual with a clean heart. And that's why the Maccabees and everybody who they joined with to create that army had success. because they all feared the Most High God together. And you see, it said the work prospered in their hand. What work was being done? It wasn't that they was just out here fighting the enemies. They were cleansing our nation by putting to death all those wicked-ass Israelites. That takes a lot of work. It's a lot of work. But go ahead. Let's go back to Maccabees. And go ahead and pick up verse 64.
Wherefore you, my sons, be valiant and show yourselves men in the behalf of the law.
Look at that. Man, hey, bro, grab your nuts. Show yourself as a man on behalf of the law. Remember, you're not doing this just for you. The law talks about loving your neighbor as you love yourself. Think about your people. Read.
For by it shall you obtain glory.
Uh-huh.
And behold, I know that your brother Simon is a man of counsel.
So he was talking to Judas. He said, look, he was talking to all the sons, but he's about to talk to Judas and Simon mainly. Go ahead.
Give ear unto him always. He shall be a father unto you.
It said, look, so he's already setting up the government. I'm getting ready to die, son. So this how I need y'all to operate. Simon, you're gonna be the counselor. Since a kid, you've always had good counsel. You're gonna be like a father unto your brothers. Read.
As for Judas Maccabeus, he had been mighty and strong, even from his youth up.
He said, you've been a dog since you was a kid. I already know how you get down. Read.
Let him be your captain and fight the battle of the people.
He said, you're going to be the chief out there. You're going to be the first one to put your hands on the enemies. Go ahead.
Take also unto you all those that observe the law.
No, all those who have their own belief.
All those that observe the law.
It don't matter what they believe.
All those that observe the law.
They're Israelites. That's all that matters.
All those that observe the law.
He said, you better make sure you accompany yourself with all those who observe the law. Read.
And avenge ye the wrong of your people.
Go ahead.
Recompense fully the heathen and take heed to the commandments of the law.
You see how much he's reconfirming and reinstilling the fear of the Most High? Keep the law. Keep the law. It's like when Christ was talking to Peter. Peter, you love me? Yeah. All right, well, feed my sheep. Some hours went by. Hey, yo, Peter, what's up? Hey, you love me? Yeah. All right, well, make sure you feed my sheep. Third time, Peter, yo, do you love me? Damn, what the hell, Christ? Yeah. All right, feed my sheep. It's the same thing that we get. Keep the law. Read.
So he blessed them and was gathered to his fathers.
So Mattathias died at this point. Go ahead.
And he died in 146 year, and his sons buried him in the sepulchre of his fathers at Modin, and all Israel made great lamentation for him.
Because he was a great man and definitely worthy of that memorial. So that's where we're going to stop the lesson, because the next one is to go into Judas, I believe, to Simon. And I'm going to let the next brother expound on that. But, you know, I really want to thank everybody who tuned in tonight. And, you know, I know I got a little passionate. I probably said a few cuss words more than I usually do. But I can't help myself when it comes to lessons like these, because you can really see the work that the Most High has set up for us to do. And the thing is, we're playing games with ourselves if we sitting there acting like everybody out here really doing the work of the Most High. And what I mean by that is, Christ said, look, the harvest is plenteous, but the laborers are few. If Christ is telling us it's not going to be that many people truly doing the work of the Most High, how are we fooling ourselves to just think, oh, everybody I come across, all these leaders, they're all doing it right? No. Hell no. You know, and I pray the Most High give us the strength, you know, as a body to continue to do these great works and to continue to put out these type of lessons and just reconfirm with our people and reinstill that we got to be keeping these commandments. That's what the whole thing is about, the keeping of these commandments. You'll see when Israel had so much prosperity and so much just well-being due to us following the laws of God. And then you can read about the history that we're reading into right now, how we fell into such a dump because we sinned against our God. You can't downplay the Most High's law and how he feels about whether or not somebody is sinning or somebody's being righteous. That's a huge thing we got to take into consideration. So, you know, you got anything to say, Yacht? So we gonna close it out there. Again, I appreciate everybody who's been tuning in. Appreciate the continued love and support. We ask that if you are supporting, send in those donations. We have our Cash App at $TrueNation12. These these funds help fund the works. Brothers, we got places we trying to get to, flights that need to be taken. We trying to feed the sheep, and we can go a lot further if we have the help from the nation. Again, follow, like, subscribe on YouTube, Facebook at True Nation Israelite Congregation. With that, I'm going to say Shalom Israel and tune in for next week's segment. Shalom.
Shalom.